We'll be starting in just a moment. I hope everyone can hear me. Okay, I think we have everyone online. Hello, and welcome to the 49th San Diego Crew Classic. This is the 2022 Crew Classic. We're really happy to have you all here, and we have a great race coming up. I was out there on the Mission Bay this morning, and the water and the bay looks beautiful. So welcome, and we're glad to have you back, and we're glad that the Crew Classic is running this year after a couple of years off. Truly, your rowing season starts here. So I'd like to do a few quick introductions. I'm Mark Rose, the San Diego Crew Classic president. We have a number of other people on the webinar to go through the race rules and regulations and how it will operate. Bobby Smith is our executive director. She's online also. Craig Doan is our race director and race operations. Sheila Toll is our chief referee, and Lex Switzer is our beach master. So welcome, and we're glad to have you here. They will walk you through all of how the Crew Classic is going to operate this year. And if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A section at the bottom. We will address the questions at the end, or some number of them. So with that said, I'll turn it over to Bobby, our executive director, and let's have fun and a safe race in just under a week. See you then.
Thank you, Mark. First of all, we'd like to say thank you to our webinar sponsors, Zlack Rowing Club. Without them, we would not be having this webinar. And also, just in case you don't know, Zlack has been around since 1892, and it's the longest consecutively run women's club in the world. And it's right across the bay from one of our other big supporters, the San Diego Rowing Club. And I can honestly say without these two clubs, we would not be having the regatta this year. So thank you very much to both of them. This also is, of course, sponsored by all of these amazing vendors and individuals. A lot of them you know, some of them you might not. The biggest sponsor of the San Diego Crew Classic is the San Diego Tourism Marketing District, but we also are sponsored by all of these other individuals as well and companies. Here's our quick agenda. I'm not really going to waste everybody's time by reading it to you, but this is what we're going to go over today. We'll start with the race staff, and this time I'm going to give everybody just enough time, because I think we're all listed on here, to say hello, so you can at least see people's faces before they talk. Our chief referee will be Sheila Toll.
Hello, it's a pleasure to see everybody.
Our chief referee deputy will be Richard Lund. He's not on this meeting tonight. Our race operations coordinator is Craig Doan.
Good to see everybody tonight.
Our beach master will be Lex Switzer.
Hello, everyone.
Our water operations coordinator that many of you won't see, but trust me, we could not have the regatta without him, is Russell Moore. And our shore operations coordinator will be Robert Lopez, also another individual without whom we could not have the regatta. And lastly, there's me. We have our COVID regulations. They came out last week. Hopefully you've seen them. I think the biggest takeaway from them in regards to all of the teams, their chaperones and coaches, you need to make sure that all of your athletes are either vaccinated, and we just require double vaccination, or single if it's J&J, or or they must also have a test within 24 hours if you do a rapid antigen test, or 48 hours if you do a PCR test of turning in the packet for turning in your attestation form for registration. So we ask that all of the teams please turn in one for the team. If your team turns in multiple ones across different boats, we're going to wait for all of those forms to come in before we release your registration packet for your team. So we do need to have the attestation form for every athlete on your team. It would be best if you designated a head coach to turn it in for everyone. Park rules. So this is a city park, and we're very happy that they have decided to allow us to have the regatta this year. As we all know, this is the first time in 3 years that we've had it. The biggest rules that I think people need to take into account are the fact that you must have wristbands and parking passes in order to enter the athlete area. So that is the north dirt lot, very close to where the boat trailers are, and then there's a paved lot right next to it. That's where all the crews park. All of your athletes are going to need to have their wristbands on in the car in order to enter. If they don't have a wristband on, you are going to be sent to the main gate in order to get a wristband for that competitor. No exceptions on that. So please make sure that all of your athletes have their wristbands. General park rules. There's lots of rules. The biggest ones that we find people want to break are no bikes inside the venue, no dogs. And this is a big one. I know there are tons of regatta dogs out there. Of course, if it is a service animal, they are allowed on the grounds because service animals are different than normal pets, but dogs are not allowed otherwise. Also no glass containers. And lastly, we ask that you have no personal drones in or around the race. If we discover that someone does in fact have a personal drone, we will ask them to leave the premises. We will of course also ask you to remove your drone. I'm going to turn this over to Craig now.
Hey everyone, again, I'm Craig Doan. I'm the race operations director for this year's Crew Classic. So day of the race, if there are questions, concerns, issues, I'm your guy. If there are any questions, my email is at the top of this slide, craig@crewclassic.org. Feel free to hit me up and we will make sure that we get any questions answered as quickly as possible. For the coaches out there, a few things to keep in mind as we approach the race this weekend. Most of what we cover today is mentioned in the coaches packet. So before we start, trying to find all of the race staff for some of our questions, if we can consult that packet, that would save, I think, everybody a large amount of time and headaches, and make sure that things get done as quickly as possible. When it comes to packet pickup, okay, remember coaches, only the coach or a team representative of record is or should be set to pick up the packet. I believe that Bobby will go over packet pickup times and registration in the next slide here. Let's just make sure that we've just got a coach or a designated team representative picking those up, because they will have all of your wristbands in them, all of your parking passes, as well as your final schedule and maps of Mission Bay. So we want to make sure that that gets back to the right people at the right time. One thing to keep in mind when it comes to packet pickup is that you will not be able to pick up your packet until all of the payments have been received. If you have a trophy from previous years, that has been dropped off by noon Saturday, as well as what Bobby had just mentioned for our COVID regulations, all the attestation forms. All of that, including eligibility forms, should be taken care of in advance so that you can pick up those packets at the designated times. Last thing for those collegiate coaches out there, don't forget that seatings are due tomorrow at 5 p.m. or by 5 p.m. so that we can get those lane assignments turned around and back to everybody at a reasonable time this week. So I think beyond that, Bobby will provide some more insight on the registration.
Thank you, Craig. So registration, your lineups are due by Thursday, March 24th, 2022 at, I believe it's 7 p.m. Pacific. Please make sure that in their U.S. rowing memberships are up to date. Safe Sport has been completed for any athlete over the age of 18 or competitor. Anyone, essentially anyone who's required in your organization, since we're all, like, aside from the international crews, likely U.S. rowing members, we all need to have our Safe Sports certification completed. You need to have your U.S. rowing waiver signed, lineups in. There's a survey that needs to be filled out, and attestation forms need to be complete as well. So all of those need to be complete before you pick up your registration packet. Registration will be open Friday from 9 to 5, Saturday 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday 6:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. I would hope though that most people have gotten their registration taken care of before Sunday at 6:30 to 10. Wristbands, I've already mentioned them. If they're lost, go to the main gate. The customer service representative there will help you by calling the coach in question, have them come to the main gate and tell us that you are in fact an athlete on their team. Back to you, Craig.
So for the schedule and progressions, let's see, the heat sheet will be able to be found on both Regatta Central and the crewclassic.org website. Let's make sure, please note that for the Masters, in particular this year, those races are in the morning on Saturday and Sunday, as opposed to being a little bit later in the schedule in previous years. So if you haven't had the opportunity to take a look at that schedule and see the update, please note that. It will adjust your arrival time and needs for parking and all of that. So please take a look at that. Again, the schedule can be found on Regatta Central or on the Crew Classic website. So I think one of the most important things that we're going to cover here today is going to be the traffic patterns, in particular, what goes into effect this week, Monday through Sunday. All right, for a lot of the local crews, this is something that we need to pay attention to in particular. For all of the crews that are launching in the West Bay, ZLAC, SDRC, the collegiate programs that are in the SDRC Boathouse, please keep in mind that as we move towards South Ingram Bridge or Long Bridge, as it's denoted in the map here, that bridges are all one way. Long Bridge moves west to east only. All right, and then the short bridge, North Ingram Bridge, actually only moves east to west. Okay, so keep in mind that those are one way traffic patterns starting at 4 a.m. on Monday morning. Okay, so tomorrow morning, bright and early, all those practices, we should be going only one way through those bridges, right? Not to mention, as we go into the warm-up area for the local cruise SeaWorld channel, that does become a left-hand clockwise traffic pattern, right? And that the middle buoy line, right, the white cigarette buoys that mark that channel down the middle, right? As you're going up into SeaWorld channel headed east, let's just make sure that we're staying on the left side. All right, that is one of the point of contentions that we see in years past. Okay, make sure that we mind the do not enter areas and use caution in the heavily trafficked areas, in particularly as we get close to the start line just past the South Ingram Bridge, the start line of the Crew Classic. That is where we tend to get a number of issues in terms of following the traffic procedures. So as you come through South Ingram or Long Bridge, you either have the opportunity to go down the race course, right? Or you can go cross over onto the left side of the warm-up area of SeaWorld channel and enter there. Just be mindful of any crews coming down out of SeaWorld channel headed towards the start line, or any crews already lined up in the starting platforms and getting set to run some pieces. So I think for the most part, that's it outside of the traffic pattern that we'll discuss Friday through Sunday. So Lex will give you an update on our launch and recovery procedures.
Good afternoon, everyone. So for launch and recovery, you can see the finish line is marked by a red line. So when you are launching, you're going to launch from zone 1 through 4, that orange line right there, and you have your bow faced toward the start. This is really important. So you have your bow faced toward the start, denoted by those purple arrows, and then you are going to turn, noticing that you're going to be crossing in front of at the end of the finish line. So all crews, you need to yield to all crews that are finishing at that time. Wait till those crews finish and then cross when it's safe. Make sure you cross following that orange line, and then you can view the race day map, and you can see how you're going to follow up the east side of West Ski Island. So that's how you'll launch. And then once you get up to the start of the race course, you enter the race warm-up area and you race down your race course, and you have a great race and it's awesome. You're going to finish to the finish line and you're going to go down almost all the way to the refuge wildlife area. But before you get there, you can either make a right to go in a cool down area, or you can make a left and return to the shore. Now there is a fence down there. We call it a boat eating fence. Do not go to the boat eating fence or your boat will be eaten, and that's not good. So please watch out for that fence. There will be a large buoy there that should tell you not to go to the fence. Don't do that. Don't follow the large buoy. Don't go past the large buoy. Make a left, and then you're going to turn your bow when you're coming in. Make sure you give yourself enough room, a nice 45, 60 degree angle so you can get to the beach. And your bow should be facing up towards the start line again. So that's how there'll be 2 recovery zones. And there'll be beach masters that day to guide you when you launch. And further on, I'll show you the launching areas. Back to you, Greg.
All right, so for those of us who will be practicing Friday in advance of the race, as well as just getting situated on race day, Saturday and Sunday, at that point, it should be that the vast majority of programs will be launching from Crown Point and our launch and recovery area, all right, which is up north here on the map. Keep in mind what Lex was just saying. You'll come around Crescent Island, all right, on the north side. There is a wildlife refuge area that is buoyed off that is just east of that island that we want to be mindful of. Okay, so coming around Crescent Island, and then you'll head south down towards the start line. As you approach the corner of Fiesta Island there, you can turn left into the warm-up area, or if you are late for your race, all right, it does happen. All right, there is going to be a marshal a few hundred meters north of that corner of Fiesta Island that should be able to, well, you don't have to stop and check in. It is a check-in marshal, but you don't have to stop and check in. As long as you've got the flashers on your boat, they're going to be able to recognize where you're at, what race you're in, what lane you should be in, and they will direct you, if you're late, directly to the starting line. Okay, but for those of us who are launching well enough in advance of our race, 45 minutes is probably a good number to hit. All right, we should be able to enter into the warm-up area, or for the local SeaWorld channel. All right, again, left-hand traffic pattern as we come around those center buoys that mark the center of that channel. All right, and you can run as many laps as you want inside SeaWorld channel. All right, that is where we should spend all of our time doing our warm-up. We do not want crews out there on East Bay doing laps, between the race course and Crescent Island and Fiesta and the check-in marshal. Okay, any boats that are out there running laps to do their warm-up are probably going to be issued a traffic pattern violation by the officials. Let's keep in mind we're trying to keep everybody safe, keep the race clear, and make sure that we have a good event. So any extra warm-up that needs to be done, let's make sure we're doing down in the warm-up area in the SeaWorld channel. One thing to note, when we do go into SeaWorld channel or the warm-up area, there are some designated areas that we need to make sure that we stay out of. All right, they are buoyed off. All right, but we have a couple wakeboard areas as well as some shallow spots as we get a little bit deeper into the bay. You should be able to see a number of buoys that will span the entrance to those inlets, as long as you stay right around the center buoys that mark the center lane of the warm-up area and just run circles around that. You should be just fine. Okay. As your race approaches, all right, you may move into the on-deck area. All right. So when the race preceding yours is loaded into the stake boats and the start marshal are into the area, the start marshal referee will request for you to move up. All right, and the on-deck area is marked by 4 round red buoys. And so make sure that we're getting up to the starting line of our race just a couple minutes in advance so that you can get marshaled into your lanes as needed. Boat storage on land. Coaches and coxswains, let's make sure that all shells are only located in the designated areas that will be sent out to you for your boat corrals. All right, make sure that you're trying to not block any of the walkways. Let's try to keep boats and all of our team equipment as tight as we possibly can in that boat storage area so that we can allow as much space for entering and walking to and leaving the launch and recovery zones. You know how it can be with that many boats, and otherwise just take a look at the rules, make sure that we're parked where we're supposed to be. And one thing to note, all right, is that we cannot arrive prior to noon on Thursday. All right, so any trailers, coaches, teams, make sure afternoon, right, on Thursday. Right, and I think we're
Hello,
going to
everyone.
back to Lex.
Hello, everyone. So for your shell has to be in compliance at US rowing, which means it has to have a bow ball, heel ties, and for our race, a colored zip tie around your bow ball to ensure that your heel ties are checked. So there'll be Beachmaster staff and Crew Classic staff that can, and officials that can check your boat before you launch to get that done ahead of time. So if your shell is really old, it needs to be in compliance with US rowing rules. And no shell will be allowed to race if it doesn't have a bow ball, heel ties, or a bow number. And as a reminder, slings, racks, and bow balls will not be provided at the race. So this is going to be more for coxswains. Next slide. All right, so it's your job, coxswains, to ensure that your boat is ready in all ways. That means to have your crew, your boat, your cox box, and any equipment that you might need when you come down to the beach to launch. You can get your flashers earlier, so you can check in with the Beachmaster staff to get your flashers. Those are stickers that are going to go on the side of your boat. They're going to go under your coxswain seat in an 8, or where your coxswain seat would be in a bow, in a stern cox 4. So make sure your shell is dry before you put those stickers on. And you can get that before your race, like well in advance of your race. Also, when you're launching, this is a beach launch. So for those of you guys who haven't done a beach launch, it's really important that you go far enough into the water so that way you don't rip off your skeg right at the launch. So before you guys push off the beach, ensure that there's no races that are finishing, and just be safe. And then you're going to make that, again, you're going to have your bow towards the start. You're going to make that turn at the finish line. So I recommend 45 minutes before your race at minimum. Next slide. You're going to proceed to the warm-up area and check in with the check-in boat. As a reminder, you just need to raise your hand when you pass the check-in boat. You do not need to stop. Next slide. If you have breakage after you've launched, please, and you can row safely up to the check-in boat, please do that and let the check-in boat know what breakage you have, and they will try to get the equipment out to you there. If it's unsafe for you to row, then wave your hand and we'll get you back to the beach. But again, coxswains, check your equipment before you launch so we can minimize this altogether. Okay, this map is really important. So you can see that area with the arced arrow. That is the launching and recovering area. Now, when you launch, all crews, especially home crews, be advised, you need to go through the JR, between that JR space when you launch and you pass me. So you're going to be required to go through the JR space when you come up to the beach to get checked in by the Beachmaster staff. And then you'll proceed to one of the 4 launch zones. Now, when you come back and to recover to the beach again, you need to exit through the AF zone area. So that's really important. You walk all the way through the AF zone area, and that's how you will exit the beach area. There's gonna be a lot of traffic in that area, coxswains. So I recommend you have someone on your bow or on your stern to help guide you through that area, but it's important. You will not be allowed to return your boat. If you're in, like, say, zone U or zone T, you will not be allowed to go from the beach straight to that area. You have to go all the way through the AF area. And that's all I have right now.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about the referees in our racing. So first of all, we have 22 referees from across the US, and we have an international referee from Belgium. These are some of the top referees in the country. 9 have world rowing licenses. So this is a giant regatta. We've got close to 400 entries. And so we're staffed to make sure that we hit these referee priorities, which are safety, fairness, and everybody races. It's been 3 years since we've had this regatta. And so we really want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to put their best race on the water. To do these 3, we absolutely need your partnership, coxswains and coaches. So I'm going to reiterate some of the things that Lex talked about. Heel ties and bow balls conforming to US rowing rules. This is not a nice to have. People have been hurt when these things aren't to regulation. So please double check this. The second thing, event lane stickers, or sometimes they're called flashers, will be on both sides of your boat near the stern gunnels. Key so that we know where you are on the course, and if we have to find you, referees and marshals with binoculars can easily identify you, okay? And then it's very key that when you're in that warm-up area, the start marshals will pull you out of that area and into the start corral, having you on deck, as we call it. But you really got to be up there and really be ready to lock on. Like, when in doubt, be ahead of schedule, not behind schedule. Okay, we're on 8-minute centers, and so that's pretty tight for this particular venue. Okay, next slide. So you've gotten up there. Coxswains, when you look at the start platform, there is a place on the side where we will just be displaying the race number that we're loading. So key thing, know your race number so you know when the number that's one less of yours is being loaded, that you guys are up next. Very key. Start marshal will call you to the on deck area. So that part's cool. When the race ahead of yours clears the start zone, in the starting zone or area is the first 100 meters, you will be directed onto the course by that start marshal and the starter. So go on in, back into your stake boat. If you don't know how to back into a stake boat, you got less than a week to learn this. You must be locked on 2 minutes before the announced start of your race. If you're not locked on, you will be getting a warning for being late to the start. Okay. This particular venue, for those of you who have not ever raced here, crosswinds and tidal current are not only a real possibility. As folks who race row here, it's kind of a guarantee. So please be skilled at sculling your bow into position. If you take a full stroke, you will pull yourself out of alignment. You will also most likely pull yourself out of being attached to that stake float. Okay, so definitely practice that. In the coxswain information that's on the website, and I believe further on in this, there is a link to a little video that we found that shows how to do this. Okay. The last thing, as you're now on, you're locked on, you're getting pointed, is when you're pointed straight down the course, is in the distance up on that hill, make sure that you see, have a landmark for yourself. You know, it's the big palm tree that you can see up there or whatever. Okay. And I'm going to explain to you why that's important. Next slide. Okay, we talked about the start zone. So start sequence consists of the starter announcing the cruise by name. We refer to this as polling. They will do this in an even cadence. While they're doing that, if you're in lane 1, so you're the first one called, keep sculling to get your point as they go through, okay? You don't want to blow yourself out of your point, okay? The starter will announce attention, raise a red flag, variable pause, so it's not the same for every race, and say go, dropping the flag. The flag is the start, okay? The drop of the flag. Very key here, once the announcements of the crew's names, once they start that poll lane, the starter can disregard any crew signaling that it is not ready. Okay, so if you have your hand up and we stop everything and ask you what's going on, like I'm not pointed is not an okay answer. Okay. If we have crazy conditions up there, it's blowing, people can't get their points in the time it takes to pull, etc., we will go to a quick start. This will be announced by the starter. This is just like the rules say. They will say quick start. They will say attention, raise the red flag, and say go. Okay. If you start prior to the movement of the start, the movement of the start flag, we will stop you. We'll stop the entire race, pull everybody back, and the people who jump the start, they will be assessed a warning for jumping the start. Okay. First 100 meters is the starting area. If something in your boat breaks there, and we mean break, like you're gonna have to show like this broke. Stop rowing, get the attention of the ref, and nothing gets the attention of a ref like a boat that's not rowing. Just saying. The referee will ask to see the breakage, and then we will make an assessment, how long it'll take to fix, when we're rescheduling, etc. Okay. Once your bow ball crosses the 100-meter mark, you have given up the right to be able to protest anything that happened in that first 100 meters. Okay. Next thing, body of the race. Okay, you are responsible for your own steering. Very key. Okay. This is not like track. You don't have to stay in your lane. Normally, the fastest, shortest distance is to stay in your lane. You can go outside your lane as long as you are not disadvantaging another crew, and you're not going to hurt yourself. Okay. If we need to talk to you, though, as we're following, the following ref will raise a white flag. They will call your name, and they will point the flag in the direction you need to move. Okay. Key thing, we understand coxswains do not, at least most of us, don't have eyes in the back of your head. So please make sure your stroke knows that they're going to have to tell you which way they want you to turn. Okay. Normally, when you hear the name of your crew, you'll be able to figure out that you're not in the right spot. Okay. White flag speaks to one crew. Red flag speaks to all the crews in a race. So we use the red flag to stop the entire race. Okay. If the referees feel something has impacted the fairness of the race, we will stop the race. Very key thing for those of you who've not raced here, about 500 meters in, there's an optical illusion that can happen, that you can look at a 45-degree angle and it looks like the buoys are in line. This is why I asked you early on, is to make sure you have a point in the distance, because what will happen is when you look up, that point's not going to be there, but you're going to say, but the buoys are in line. Turn yourself 45 degrees and you'll see that's your course. Okay. We refer to that as catching the diagonal, and it happens to about 5 crews every time we do this regatta. So let's make sure it's not you guys. Okay. Next slide. Okay, the finish. So boom, cross the 2,000 meter, the finish line. Finish is well marked on this course. Big buoys. There will be an orange flag that'll drop. There will be horns. So you will know that you've crossed the finish line. If you have a medical condition in your boat, please make a lot of noise. And I have a finish marshal that can get you. We have EMTs on one of the following referee boats. But if there's any issues that are medical, please let us know. Key thing here, coxswains, have your people not lay down because they're exhausted. Okay, we always see this. People are like, they're dying. Well, we're afraid that you actually really are dying. And so that gets everybody freaked out. And what happens is we come over and then they sit up. So please ask your crew to please stay sitting up. So if you have an objection to something that happened in the race that you feel impacted your ability to have a fair chance of finishing this with your best effort here, you need to raise your hand. The referee will come over. You communicate what your objection is, and the decision at that time, the ref will talk to you about what they feel happened. If you choose to accept the referee's situation, that's fine. If you don't, you need to say you're protesting. Okay. What will happen is a white flag signifies that the race is not under review and that we can release results. A red flag says that it's under protest, and we will hold the results until the protest is resolved. Okay. Once you have, you're ready to now either do a cool down or take the boat in, you can turn east or right or to starboard, depending on what you're using for directions. And there's cool down there, or you can turn directly left and go to the retrieval area that Lex designated. And then the last is protests. Next slide. So if you have protested, so you had an objection, the referee talked to you, you said, I still want to protest, we will raise the red flag. You have 1 hour to get a written protest form into me. We have a form this year. Please use that. There will be forms with Beachmaster Lex and her team at launch and retrieval. There will also be some with myself at the finish line. Fill out the form, get it to me at the finish line. Okay, very key thing. If when you come off the water, you've said you're going to protest, you talk to your coach, you decide not to, please have somebody come find me at the finish line and say we're not protesting, so that it don't hold up results for an hour. If there is a protest, a jury, we'll put together a jury. You guys will be asked to sit in. We'll have witnesses, observers, all of that. But we're not going to have that because it's going to be great. And then last slide, in emergencies. So safety is our #1 priority. In case of emergency, let's start with use your best judgment. If you're seeing white caps and it's not safe to launch, don't launch, okay? Use that judgment here. Listen to the closest marshal and referee. If danger is imminent, go to the nearest shore. So we normally don't have thunder, lightning here, but in that event, get off the water. The referees, if we do have the opportunity in emergency to get people off the water at the launch and retrieval area, you will get escorted back by the referees. We're looking forward to having some great racing and appreciate your time.
Beautiful. So once we do complete those races, the results will be posted on Regatta Central as well as at the Crew Classic website. Okay, do keep in mind that any race that goes to a photo finish or has an appeal or protest, all right, will be delayed with the official results. Okay, it should show as pending on the excuse me, the result website. Okay, but again, any race that's in appeals will show as pending. Keep in mind, you've got an hour to lodge a protest following a race final, and then the resolution has to come. So any race results that are delayed, bear with us. Keep in mind that we will get those out as quickly as we can, and unofficial results will be available coinciding with the conclusion of that race, unless one of those situations does occur.
All right, so medals are going to be given this year for first place finishers. That's the way it has always been at the Crew Classic as far as as long as I've been going. And in the case this year in the G+ races, they've been traditionally F+. There will be winners for the G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. So if you're the only boat in that race, have fun. As far as trophies go, they'll also be given according to the schedule that is found here at Trophy Schedule. By the way, all of the links that we have shown during this presentation will also be sent out in an email. It'll probably be once the seatings have been released so that everybody knows what's going on, as well as the corral placement will be in that email. So just look for that. We'll also provide a link to this presentation, and there will be a recording of this presentation all available on our website as well. Here's another Coxswains page.
Coxswains, please make sure to download this checklist before race day and go through it with your coach, with your team as well. The link provided, it will show you how to lock into a stake boat or tricks if you are unfamiliar with that. On Friday, if the Beachmaster staff or the referees or Crew Classic staff see you breaking the traffic pattern, you'll get a friendly reminder. But on race day, Saturday and Sunday, you will likely be assessed a warning. So Coxswains, please be aware of that and familiarize yourself with the traffic pattern in detail.
So now it's time to answer all of your questions. Right now, I think we have 21. Some of them are duplicates though. So I'm gonna go through them, and sometimes someone else will be more appropriate to answer than me. I'm gonna stop sharing this presentation now, by the way. And I will ask that person to please answer. So, or if, by the way, if anybody if any of the panelists think that they're the best person, then please feel free to cut in. So this I do not think is correct. It says, it looks like you can cut through the course for warm up. Any recommendations to do so safely according to the traffic pattern? So I'm gonna say that's not true. Does anybody disagree with me? You cannot cut through the course to warm up. What we were showing earlier on was the Monday to Friday traffic pattern if you are leaving from one of the local boathouses. And I think that that's where the confusion for this is coming from. On race day, race weekend, Friday to Sunday, you launch, you go around the island, and you follow it down into the warm-up channel. So if I need, I can always pull up that slide again to show everyone. In fact, I will really quickly. I'm going to go find that because I think it's really important not to have this issue on race day. Let me find it real quick. So this is race week. Here we go. So this is the actual race pattern most of you will be following because you'll be here Friday to Sunday. Share this. I hope you all enjoy my talking to myself. Craig, why don't you walk them through it one more time?
Sure. So keep in mind that you'll be launching from Crown Point, our launch and recovery area up here in the north. All right, and coming around Crescent Island, headed south along the Fiesta Island shoreline. All right, and then you can enter into the warm-up area or SeaWorld channel, staying on the left side, following a clockwise pattern, coming around the center buoys, and you can run multiple laps in that warm-up area. Right, just to kind of add on to what Bobby had mentioned, I think the question was ultimately, as we come through South Ingram Bridge, Long Bridge, for any crews that might be on the west side early on in the week, because I think there's a follow-up question as well as to how to cross this safely. I think it's important that we keep in mind that as you come through South Ingram Bridge, right, you have two options. Your best option, and the one that we're going to promote, is to go down the race course. Right, turn left, go down the race course. You can cross over the starting line to get into the warm-up area, all right, and that does force you to kind of angle left, all right, to get onto the left side of the traffic pattern. The best way to do that is to be incredibly conservative, right? Get through the bridge, take a look at what traffic is at the starting line, all right, that may be getting ready to go down the course, all right? Any crews that are coming down SeaWorld channel or the warm-up area coming down on that shoreline closest to us, right? You need to be mindful of those crews, what speed they're going, if it looks like they're doing race pieces, whatnot, right? And only cross if you are completely clear. And coxswains, coaches, please over-communicate. Over-communicate in this area. Talk, make sure that everybody knows what you are doing, when you are doing it, and why you are doing it. And I think that that's really just the best way for us to take care of that.
But Craig, just to be overly clear, you can't do that on race day.
Correct. Correct.
Besides, that is not an option on race day. Don't
Right.
do that on race day.
We should only be launching from Crown Point, our launch and recovery zones at that point, going around Crescent Island and heading south. Beyond that, your only options are to go down the race course.
Okay, so our next question is, can proof of COVID within a certain time frame also work? And what I would say in regards to that is that you would need to email us separately. We have to talk to our chief health officer, and he has to confirm that that will work for him. It's just a matter of safety of all of the athletes and competitors that are here, as well as the coaches and all of the participants. We just want to keep everyone safe. So please email us offline. Laura Brown, Sarasota, you and I have been emailing. So I would say, let's talk about that a little bit more offline. When will local crews be able to row back to their respective boathouses? Craig?
So for the local crews, we have historically had some issues with them running back in some of the recovery lanes early. keep in mind, right, if you do finish a race on Sunday and want to be able to row back to the west side and back to home, all right, you need to cross the finish line, right, turn right around Crescent Island, right, and head back like you're headed to the starting line of the race. There should be a boat official marshal to speak with just past Crescent Island as you approach the North Ingram Bridge, short bridge that you can cross through to go back, and they should give you the clearance, right, to be able to cross the race course and head home. We should not be crossing the race course without that guidance.
Thank you. There's a hotel survey. This is something that'll be in that email that I'm going to be sending out. I'm also writing everything down right now so that it's all done, so that you can just answer it. It's actually more about your experience at the regatta, but if you don't know, that we are sponsored by the local tourism management district, which was mentioned in the very beginning. We also want to know where everyone's staying. That's very important to us, and it's important to them, so that we can continue to have this regatta.
And if I can, when you fill that out, please include anyone who's associated with your team, friends, family, relatives, any of your entourage. Please include them, not just the team specific.
And it looks like there's a couple of answers going on by both Craig and Sheila in regards to the warm-up loop. So I'm going to let them answer those.
Do you want me to just do it? We've got a few questions that have happened on that. So on the warm-up loop, just in terms of there's been some questions, can I cut it short? The answer is no. You may be directed. There's 3 marshals in that area, so there's a lot of eyes on you. So if you're running late, just catch one of them and say, I need to get back, and they'll make sure that you get there, but don't plan on cutting that. We have, given the spacing, I figure there is the potential, which is scary, of 58 in that area potentially. So no cutting the loop. That is just high probability for disaster. Thank you.
All right. The bow numbers will be provided by us. So it won't let me just get rid of this. So I'm just going to write yes. Will the slide deck be available after the webinar? Yes, it will be available after the webinar. It might be tomorrow. I've already told you where to find the hotel form, so we're good. We've answered that one too. Oh, this is fantastic. Yes, so this is actually, I think, a question, Sheila, I'm gonna let you answer it. I think the answer is yes, but if we don't have a safe path at the start, should we hold, not start? As in being blown out of our lane, another boat being in our path, unsafe point, etc.
Yes. Yes.
Safety is number one.
If you feel it's not safe for you to start, don't start. And let me, as I said before, nothing catches a referee's eye than a boat that doesn't start. Okay, we will immediately stop everything. We'll come over and say, what was the problem? And you'll tell. And then you might, if it's kind of not a great answer, you could potentially get a warning. Okay, this is one of the reasons why you don't want to mess with the traffic pattern and you don't want to be late to the start, because if you get a warning for something that happens at the start, you're allowed 1. Second warning means that you're out of that race. Okay, so get in there. But if you're not feeling safe to start, don't start.
Another question we had was, will you be towed into the stake boats? So the answer is no. There will, however, be someone at the start in the case of severe wind that can nudge a boat that needs some help, like that has gotten really far off their point. In general, though, that is not something that we are going to do at all. So your crews need to know how to back into a stake boat and how to scull their bow around. So you need to know how to have 3 scull 2 and 2 scull bow. Can we go over buoys for distance marking? Sure. Craig, you want to go over that? I think they're just asking where the buoys are along the course.
So we'll have buoys separating every lane. with, I believe it is color changes every 500. And again, buoys are 10 to 12.5 meters apart down the race course per standard. Yeah.
They turn red for the last 250.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that all we all need to know? Just kidding. So there's 500s out there too. I mean, it's a well-marked course.
Yeah.
Okay, done.
Okay,
Oh,
Bobby, there's,
Previn.
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, Previn asked if international athletes need to purchase a U.S. rowing membership. The answer is no. They do need to be members of their own country, whatever the requirements are in their own country. So I'll let you figure that part out, but they do need to have a completed waiver. There is a way for international athletes to complete a U.S. rowing international membership.
What I was going to say is there's a question from Anonymous that if we do move lanes due to the optical illusion or whatever reason, could be like ports out pulling starboard, just saying, and it does not interfere with another boat, is there a penalty? No, you can row anywhere you want. You're rowing long, you're getting your entry fee worth it because instead of rowing 2,000 meters, you're going to run 2,500, but you can do this, okay? So, and you don't have to finish in your lane. We've seen that where somebody's moved 2 lanes over and then all of a sudden they see these buoys at the finish and then they do this mad cranking to get over. You don't have to do that as long as you're not going to hurt yourself and you're not disadvantaging another crew. Okay, those are the 2 that we will get involved in.
All right, two quick questions. Will there be a live stream? Yes, that also, the link to that will be in the email that we send out. And also, will there be coffee? Yes, there's going to be lots of coffee. There's going to be coffee from vendors. There's going to be coffee in the Champions Pavilion. We have made sure that everyone will be able to be caffeinated should they so choose. Let's see. So here's a question about practice after racing on Saturday. You can. There's not going to be a lot of time. And I personally would not plan on it as a coach. So I'm just making a recommendation. On Sunday, I would recommend it even less. Okay, so the reason on Sunday is they're going to be pulling the course out. And they're going to have as many boats out there as they possibly can after racing is complete to pull the course straight out and have it out before sunset. So you will be putting your crews into a situation where they are surrounded by motorboats, and it's not something that I would recommend at all. I don't know what this means, Sonia. Where do we walk returning our boat after the race to area V? V is a corral, I'm assuming.
I can take that one.
Okay, good. Yes, thank you.
So you can, so if you have that map, I don't know if you have it up, Bobby, but the black and white map. So you're gonna have to exit through A and F, and as a boat returning to V area, you are the furthest away from everyone else. So you're gonna have to go from AF down through BE, CD, and then make a left and go around across and on that path. That's why those pathways have to be open. You're gonna walk along that path all the way from GHIJ RST. So again, so you come through, so you recover your boat, right there. Yep, you're gonna walk through AF all the way down through CD. And then, yeah, if there's room right there, you can cross there as well. And then follow that path all the way down to B. And that's how you would go. You will not be allowed to go from the recovery zone along the beach. You will not, don't do that. Okay.
All right, next. There's a lot of these guys. Let's see. Can you please elaborate on the optical illusion on the course and cool down flow pattern? Who would like to take that?
Well, as a coxswain, I can tell you that you need to pick a point like you would if you're trying to keep any point in a straight distance on a non-buoyed course. At the very start, when you get your point at the start, pick a point at the finish line, beyond the finish line. And that's the point you need to look at as you're going down the course. what Sheila was talking about is as you go down the course, because the buoys are in a line, and you'll see it on the shore. So coxswains and coaches go to the shore and or go up the race course. You can see it on the when you practice that day. You can look at a 45-degree angle and the buoys will line up in a straight line. So it's an optical illusion why you would like naturally, but you have to take a turn to like get on that 45-degree angle. So just pick a point at the finish, beyond the finish, and you'll stay in a straight line. Just focus eyes straight. And that answers that question. Yes? Cool.
I believe so.
Can
Sorry,
you
I'm
talk
answering
about
your
the
question.
cool down process?
Yes,
Oh,
so
the
you
cool down
can,
process.
so you can go through the finish line, and then you're gonna go through the finish line all the way. And then there's gonna be additional buoys before that wildlife reserve. If you intend, you're gonna go to the beach, then you need to take a left to go to the beach. If you wanna go to a cool down area, there's that cool down area in Takaloti. If you are familiar with that area, don't go all the way. But on the practice weekly map, there's a area that you can cool down in. So you can do a loop in there and then return to the beach. Again, stay close to that wildlife area, that buoyed area. Don't come up to the finish line again. Stay south of the finish line when you want to return, and that's fine. And there'll be beach masters down there to help you with that. And then if anyone needs to see that on the map, Bobby, you can bring that up if that's confusing to multiple people. Or not, that's good too. So if that answers the question.
I'm having an issue. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I lost you guys. Okay. Which map did you want to?
The out view, the weekly race map view.
So the traffic patterns view.
Yes.
Hold on.
So no, the other one. Yes. So as you can see at the end of the finish, that yes, you can go through that area that Bobby's showing. Just don't get lost in there. And then you can do that cool down area over there before returning to the shore to land your boat, if you would like to do a cool down lap.
Yeah, the cool down lap, we would really recommend that you stop before you go down into here. It's a good way to just get lost. If you're not used to being around here, I do not recommend that you go back in here. There's lots of buoys, lots of things, people doing stuff, but you can go down here to this corner, turn around and come back. I need to unmute myself. Okay, some additional questions. We have there was a question here. Oh, in regards to the open women's 8 and the opens men 8, they are on the schedule for, there is no B final. It has 8 entries. And because we are assuming that collegiate crews can race 8 lanes, we're going to race them as 8 lanes. So there's no B final. It's only a race for lanes and then an A final. And it should be the same for the men's 8. All right, there were a couple of questions in here that I thought could be really fast. Repeating the safe sport requirement. Anyone over the age of 18 who is a US rowing member, so that should be anybody who's competing in this regatta from the US, needs to complete safe sport. That is a US rowing rule. It's a rule if you are a membership organization. If you have ignored that until this point, well, you get to get on it. Do you want to say anything about that, Sheila? You look like you put your earpiece in. I thought maybe you did. No. Okay, great. We showed where the cool down lap is, so we're done with that. Are there going to be officials to guide crews during the warm-up of the course? There are officials all over the place. So there are officials near Crescent Island, the finish line. There's officials at the check-in. There's officials in the marshalling area. It's a very well refereed course.
But there won't be officials on Friday or Thursday.
That is true.
Bobby, let me answer the coxswain weights. So because there's 3 questions in here, per US rowing rules, we are no longer wearing coxswains in youth events. Okay, so that's done. At this regatta, we will not be weighing collegiate or master's coxswains. We will be using the honor system. So if you weigh 98 pounds and you normally have to carry 20 pounds, put the 20 pounds in, honor system. But there's no weigh-ins, no place you have to weigh in, and we won't be, as a rule, checking weights after the finish. Hopefully for David that answers, for Becca that answers. I think those were the two that I saw.
There's also a question, are all of the lanes buoyed? Yes, they are. Craig, you mentioned that the buoys change color every 500 meters. They actually don't. They're all white, but there are buoy markers every 500 meters that indicate things. So just that's the case. Are there different considerations for those who aren't vaccinated? Yes, you can have a PCR test done within 48 hours of the regatta. Of course, you need a negative result on that, or a rapid antigen test within 24 hours of the test. Again, must be negative. Someone has asked for us to please explain the optical illusion a little bit more in depth in regards to the lanes, where you see that it looks like the course is straight at a 45 degree.
I think Lex answered that one.
My biggest recommendation for anyone who has any further questions is go down the race course on practice on Friday and look 45 degrees and you will understand the optical illusion. And then if you have any questions, you can find me on the beach. I'll be there all Friday.
Normally, just to clarify, what happens is in the heat of the race, you're calling the race next to you and you're looking over at that boat, calling how many seats you have, because of course you're ahead. And then as you turn, you don't get all the way straight. You get 45 degrees from straight and it looks like the buoys are in line. Okay, so as Lex says, you can see it from the shore. If first time you go down the course as you're practicing and you're getting the hang of it, just look, it's pretty obvious.
Somebody asked if you have to be vaccinated to compete. I've already answered that, I believe. All right, let's see. I'm gonna go back up to the top. Okay, we've done that. So, and Sheila answered if you change lanes due to the optical illusion, you're fine. Just don't run into anyone. Like, that's the key. It's safety first. About how many meters is the warm-up area? I think we've already answered that, but it's about 1,250 meters down, 1,250 meters back. Maybe a little bit longer, but not much. We've already done that. If you need to request additional wristbands and parking passes, please just email me, bobby@crewclassic.org. For course markings, is there a larger buoy at the 1,000-meter mark? I believe the 1,000-meter mark is exactly the same size as the 500 and the 1,500. Please correct me if I'm wrong. If there are only 3 boats in the race, will they race once? So it depends on the situation. Some of the races are finals only. It should state that. Some are heats to finals. I'm going to ask you to please look on the schedule. It'll tell you. So as far as Thursday and Friday goes, as mentioned before, you don't need to go through the bridges unless you are a local crew. Otherwise, just go out, follow the course, the warm-up pattern, race down the course, or row down the course. You can do laps there as long as you want. Any specific recommendations for quads or blind boats? I think that do you have any specific ones, Sheila?
No, not at all. And actually this optical illusion, if it's a blind boat, you don't see it because you're not looking that way. So
that's exactly
it ends up being almost easier.
That's exactly what I was thinking, was that it's easier if you're a blind boat, actually. I'm going to stop sharing so we can actually see everybody. Boats coming off the water cross in front of the boats launching from the beach. Yes, that is true. So everybody just needs to be careful at the finish line. If you are launching and you're heading out, be aware of the fact that boats that are going to come in are going to cross your path. Any other recommendations from other people? How many parking passes does each team get? I would email me about that. Let me know how many you think you need. Hopefully you don't need like 20 because I'm not going to give you that many. Sorry. Nobody has that many boats. So again, with Tecolote, if you are a local crew and you understand that area, I am okay with you using that area. I'm not going to tell you no. If there's a boat out there that tells you not to go there, don't go there. But I am saying on the weekends, especially since we are all going to be taking over the bay, it will be very busy. There will be lots of small boats in there. It's a somewhat dangerous area. If you are not used to that area, don't use it. Yes, the start line will show the event number / race number for that's about to start. That's something we've done for years. Great idea. We'll do our best to video the optical illusion for future years so people understand what it looks like. How frequent are the lane buoys? I think that Craig said they were 12.5 meters apart.
They're between 10 and 12.5, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. They're standard distance. Sure, they're black, yellow, repeating down the course. I'll be honest, you guys, I row this course as a rower, and hopefully all of you are the same and we keep our heads in the boats. I think that you're right that they're yellow and black. That's the second person who's mentioned this. Does anybody else, are they yellow and black? I'm gonna go with maybe. I mean, they might be white, but I guarantee you that there are 500 meter markers and that they're red. Masters letter races are straight to final. If you need to practice during racing because you have no Saturday race. Okay, this is a good question. Then I would launch, what I would do is let the Beachmaster, Lex, know what you're doing, that you're going over to Tecolote and you're coming back. And Lex, do you have any special requirements for crews in this situation?
I was gonna say no, but
No,
yeah, I was gonna say no, you can't practice.
Okay.
But if you can launch during a time where it's not trafficked, okay, like if you want to launch during a break, then fine, but you're gonna be waiting a while. Like that launch area is not exactly a.
Yeah, no, there is a practice time that is after the last race until sundown. If you're not racing on Saturday and you want to practice, that's the time to do it. We've got way too many boats, and that finish line area is going to be a challenge to keep everybody organized. Lex is up for the challenge, but we don't need to add other things. So no, there's no practicing for boats on Saturday.
There we go. So, and racing does finish around 5:30. Sundown is around 7:15. So you do have a little bit of time. Like I said, personally, I wouldn't do it, but you can. Are the outer lanes buoyed on both sides? Yes, you're definitely hemmed in. There are lanes. Can you cut the warm-up loop? Sheila answered that only if an official tells you to. The women's FGH plus race, you said G and H were same race, but individual results per age class. Is that true if Avis added in same race? I don't know what Avis is, but I will say that yes, that's true. So the F athlete, you might be seated so that you're not in lanes F, G, like all the F boats are together, G and H. You're actually going to be seated according to prior year's results. So it might be an F and a G next to each other, and then another G and then an F. But the Fs are racing each other and the Gs are racing each other. Okay. Okay, someone is making recommendations. Sit tall, Coxswains. Make sure that you can see the course. If F is added in. So I think I answered your question anyway, Rachel. Great. So the lanes alternate yellow and black. So yes, every year you have to take the safe sport requirements. So there's an annual kind of retake. So if yours was taken in August 2020, it expired in August 2021. So you do need to redo it in order to race. And we already did this. So I think we're good. I think that's the last
Sorry.
question.
I had one more question, or Mark wanted me to clarify for hot seating. If you are attempting to hot seat a race, you should have gotten that cleared by Bobby, telling Bobby that you needed to hot seat a race, so she can tell me, but it's gonna be on a by crew basis, so we're gonna try to reduce that as much as possible.
Yeah,
Short answer, no hot
Probably
seating.
go to Craig, not Bobby, too.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just go to Craig. Sorry.
Go to Craig, go to
Craig
Craig,
at crewclassic.org.
Craig at
I'm gonna get
crewclassic.org.
plenty of other emails. Anyway,
But
everyone,
just to be clear, so they come into the recovery zone and then move over to the lunch zone to hot seat? Or
I
how do you
think-
want
so let's just make sure anybody who needs a hot seat, please email Craig. We will email you directions. We are really hoping that you don't need a hot seat very often. In general, we're gonna make you go back to your corral and then bring that boat straight out. All right. I just want to say thank you to everyone who attended. This meeting ran a little bit longer than I think any of us planned. And anybody who's still here, you are very patient. We appreciate it. We're very much so looking forward to having you this weekend. We've ordered up 70-degree weather, and I've looked, and the wind forecast is actually less than 8 miles per hour all weekend long, which is fantastic weather. Trust me, as a coach, I'm super excited. And other than that, we're just really grateful to be back and having a regatta this year. Thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you, everyone, and look forward to seeing you next weekend. It'll be a lot of fun, and we'll have a nice, safe race.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
See you guys at the race.